of us, I will stand here and I will invite our participants. Barsimantov, Nimrod Dweck, Yoni Bloch, and Salomon, Boaz Cohen. I'm going to switch to English. The two singers, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm Ayelet Yagil. I am the editor of the music section of Ynet, Israel's biggest news portal. And we have here two recording artists, Daniel and Yoni. Boaz, who is a member of a rock band, but also a blogger and a Twitterer and a radio DJ on 88 FM. I hope my boyfriend doesn't mind me saying this, but Boaz's voice is the one that wakes me up every morning. So. He has a special place in my heart. Nimrod runs Dice Marketing, which is, well, sort of viral marketing agency for bands. You'll tell us exactly what. And Penny is here as a music fan and a blogger and a music blogger. Together we will try to explore music in Twitter in general and of course in Israel in particular. I think Twitter is a conundrum when it comes to music because it has no music on it. And yet it is very popular. It is one of the biggest and most efficient tools between an artist and his public or fans or following. I don't know, what is the great enchantment in Twitter? And I'll start with the music artists, if I may. Daniel, Yoni? Yachad. They share a manager, so they might as well share a microphone.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you, Wally, for inviting me. Sure. I'm passing this question to Yoni because he's much into Twitter than me. I think I'm like more of a Facebook babe.
You don't say that here. What was the question?
The question is, for a site that has no music on it, how come it became so crucial and instrumental in the relationship between artist and following?
I think that, I don't know if it's sadly, but music is only the beginning of the relationship between the listeners and the musician himself. And after people start to like music by someone, they want to know who's the guy behind the music. Sometimes they like the music because of the guy behind. Those times that I know someone, I heard a song that I really like, and then I read some interviews, and then I get biased, and every song I hear, I like it because I come from the listening perspective that gives a much opener, stance for music.
So it's an addition. You need to hear the music first on MySpace before you really care what they express.
Yeah, I think that it just breaks the barriers between and there were many things like it before, like MySpace, that I remember all the musicians were so excited that they can finally talk to the fans. I remember that I thought it was weird because I was young myself and I didn't understand. Relatively young. And I thought that they could do it any time before, but because the use of the internet is so wide and they can choose who to answer to, but they know, everyone that writes there knows there's a big chance that the band or the artist will personally see it and they like it. And Twitter is even more direct and more minimalistic, and you don't have so many pictures in the way you just get the text.
So it's like there used to be a postcard to the fan club every Christmas or every something when the Beatles released, but this is much more one-on-one.
Easier, yeah. And I think I'll give Daniel the opportunity to continue the answer.
I'll continue your point. I think that whenever you hear a song, and whenever you hear somebody sings, whenever you hear like somebody sings in his own voice, singer, if it's a female or male, the connection to this song is more the connection to the personality, to who sings it. So in a way, Twitter and the social web, I think in general, gives you the opportunity to really maybe know the person behind the voice that you like. When somebody comes to me in the street and says something like, I really love your song, or I really like that album, or I really hate your song.
I saw it done.
Yeah, I know. This is how I got to your music. But whenever somebody tells you that, he sometimes he cannot realize that he tells you that he dislikes you, and he likes you, because it's very personal. My songs are it's actually what makes me a person. So in a way, Twitter gives you, Facebook gives you to really connect with that person that you like. Sometimes I think it maybe backfire. Since I got to know Twitter,
Is there an anecdote about some backfiring? Something that you said and...
No, I really admire it.
And I love Daniela taking back, it was a joke. But I wanted to say that on the reverse thing, when I was, and still, I really love Fiona Apple, the artist. And then I saw one interview with her on one of the Tonight shows, and she was really, really stupid. I don't know if she...
Still pretty?
Yeah, that's why I still hear the song. No, but I remember that it really took a lot from because I had this fantasy that she's, and when I heard the music, I heard her, and it was a disappointment.
Yoni's Twitter, Yoni's Twitter, for example, really gives something from his personality to his audience, because he's funny, he's bright, he writes stuff that makes you sometimes think or read it. So he gives you something out of his personality. I'm trying to imitate him, actually. So we are trying, I think, to give something out of our personality to the audience.
Lovely. No. Boaz, you've been in different media for a long time.
Many hats.
Pardon?
I have many hats.
You have many hats. And you're an avid Twitterer, but not only about music. But how, after being in the print journalism for so long and broadcasting your voice on the radio, what is essentially so much more different in Twitter, in these media?
Twitter gives you the opportunity to give the people, the listeners, the music lovers. First of all, I'm a music lover. That's the way I see myself. And I do many things as a musician, as a radio DJ, as a writer, as a blog, as a music blogger. And Twitter gives me the opportunity, the chance to give the people the personality behind the microphone, the man that gives them the music that they love to hear. I hope.
Do you have a different persona behind the microphone, do you think?
I think so, yes. Much close and concentrate in the music itself. And I write about football, soccer, and many things. My life, everything, not only music. But it's just the internet gives you many tools to spread the music you love, and you can link to different places in the net, to YouTube and sites that the artists got in MySpace. And people can go into the music they love. Not only the music, but the artist that makes this music.
Are you a follower of one of your idols?
No. I feel I'm not, no.
You'd rather keep them separate. Nimrod, dice marketing, could you explain exactly the connection between social media and music as you see it as your livelihood?
My company deals with fan management, basically, the relations between the musicians and their crowds, and our goal is to engage the crowds, to promote the music. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever crowds are connecting to musicians, we try to organize it and make it the best, make the best use out of it.
Okay.
That's what we do.
And of course, you have your local in Israel. You have.
Yeah, we work with Israeli musicians, mostly mainstream. Some of them are less mainstream or less known. We work with Adam Nachash, Yehudim, Ivrit, Rita. We work with Barel Skato, the Eurovision, and around it, and so forth.
And when you want to appeal to the international crowd, is there tools that you use that you wouldn't use in Israeli crowds? Is because the vastness of it?
I know I'll probably be the bad guy, but Twitter for Israeli crowds has very low penetration rates. And if I need to take my time and to see where I invest it, it probably won't be on Twitter for Israeli crowds. When we worked with Barel Skato on the Eurovision, we went basically more to communities of Eurovision fans and Jewish communities, and we started seeding from there outwards. Twitter was not part of it because the penetration rates of it in Eastern Europe, basically, and Central Europe, where Eurovision is very popular for some reason. We just didn't use it so much. But if one of the fans promoted it on his Twitter, we encouraged him.
Do you have the statistics, sort of penetration rates in Eastern Europe compared to Israel, larger than Israel?
Well, from what I talked to other promoters in Eastern Europe, it's very, very low. Even Facebook only on the rise over there for the past year, 2 years or so. And moreover, it's not a technological developed market in the means of 3G and stuff like that. And so, it's low.
Is there something you'd rather promote on Twitter than Facebook, or everything is like copy paste, same?
We usually for Israeli crowds do copy paste for most of the artists. We don't delve in it ourselves. Like Ivri is using his own Twitter, Hadar Nachash, it's only news, and if there is something personal, it's the band doing it itself to preserve the authenticity of the connection between the band, the musician, and the crowd. If there's no authenticity, it's just authenticity. That's the word. Authenticity.
It's a good word, though.
Thank you. I learned my English from hip hop and stuff like that. So I say yeah, bitches and all, but big words are very hard. And thank you. If the connection isn't authentic, it just don't work. And even when the artists do it themselves, we usually tell them, okay, there is the persona that people grasp of you from the music, just like you guys said, and sometimes you just mumble stuff which is bizarre, and I'm not sure that's the persona your PR people would like to maintain and your management, so you need to be consistent about stuff like that. We had some incidents, like when Ivri and the staff started working together, Walla picked it up from Ivri.
You leave it on Asaf Amdulski, two singers who collaborated.
There's a concert next week. This week, actually. So Walla COL picked it up from Ivri's Twitter.
I don't know that side.
You shouldn't know it. Horrible side. And the same happened when, I don't know, we had other incidents with when Ivri was on a flight and the tea was spilled over him. And the gossip channels picked it up, and we all had a talk afterwards that I don't know if everything needs to be posted on Twitter, although it's funny. And that's the part of the constant dilemma, which persona the artist need to preserve in front of his audience.
But isn't that giving him a new perspective, a more light-hearted one? I'm not sure it's such a bad idea.
Well, it depends who. Like, I'm really into punk rock, and there's a band named Against Me. Anyone knows them? Yeah! And their lyrics are amazing, and the singer Tom Gable is one of the best lyricists I know, but his Twitter is horrible. it's all about punk rockers doing fun here, and oh my god, the concert was amazing, you guys rock. And it's not the persona I want to preserve with him as an audience, as a fan and as a listener.
What would you rather see from him?
Divine writing. I like him because he's writing, I like him because he's passionate, and not because bullshit he writes.
I want to say something about something that depressed me a little, that in the last Independence Day, between two shows, as you know, I'm kind of a geek, and I don't do it.
We all
Don't know what you're talking about.
But I play rock music, so it's okay. And
I used to be a rapper for years.
so it was really there, and after our second show, or between...
Just a second, did anyone see Yoni Bloch as a superhero in his latest clip? Isn't he made for superstardom? Back to you.
The answer is yes, because I didn't hear it so from the crowd. Anyway, I wrote, you know, we drank a little, and I wrote something like, I'm so happy and a little drunk, something like that. And I was really happy. I'm like the only musician, maybe Daniel too, that don't do drugs.
No comment from that.
2 days later, my manager gets a call from Yediot Acharonot. Yoni is trying to educate the teenagers to drink alcohol, and they got on some website a YouTube video that in the middle of a song I'm doing it like this, a cheers, and it's not fair. And I went and I deleted the post, and I felt really bad because I didn't do anything wrong.
And you want to write about it.
Yeah, now I need to, when I'm drunk, I
You need to stay away from Twitter.
Exactly.
It's like texting your ex.
Yeah, that's what I wrote actually. I wrote drunk tweeting is like...
Penny, you are representing the music fan. I want to know what you consider to be the highs and lows of following your idols or people you admire on Twitter.
Well, basically, I think social media is good for musicians, for the audience. I think the reasons are quite obvious, but I'm not surprised Boaz doesn't follow the musicians he loves, because from my point of view as a music fan, I think there are two major problems. First is overusing social media, over-tweeting. I don't know how to say it in English. Sometimes I see brilliant musicians with a mentality of talkbackism.
People who write replies to.
Yes, but in a certain way, and of course, too much self-promotion. For that matter, I prefer to follow Boaz or other music bloggers that will...
Wait, we want examples of the talkbackism.
No, I prefer... no, not Israel. I prefer to follow Boaz or music bloggers that will recommend me about music or what they're listening now. It tells me much more than the musician about himself. And last year I was sure that every musician has to be on social media, but today I'm not so sure everyone has to do it. I just want to... there's an article from last week titled "New Music Artist Labels, We Won't Do It," and I just want to read one line from it. Daniel Glass, founder of the indie label Glassnote indie label, he says he chose not to sign a promising new group after they expressed apathy about social networking. He says the touring is important, but after that comes social networking.
So if they're not cooperating with social media, they are a no-no.
Yes, and for me as a fan, I don't know, it worries me. This kind of philosophy will eventually hurt us. I mean, imagine David Bowie back in the 70s being Ziggy Stardust if he had a Twitter account.
Just shave my brows, going to a concert.
Sometimes we all can benefit from a bit of mystery, and I don't think, sometimes if you talk rubbish, you better not do it. And I think this kind of strategy, marketing strategy, is really, it's not the point about being on social media.
Just want to add something. I'm sorry. I think what you just read, maybe that guy is like, it's a nicer way to say your music sucks. I really don't want you in my label, something like that. I really do think so, because the music stands first. It doesn't matter. The music always stands first. At first you love or like the music or the artist, and then you're into his personality or whatever, if he fits well or not. But the music always comes first. So maybe that's just a way to say, the music sucks.
I made a mistake. I'd like to disagree with both of you, actually. I used to run an indie label of punk rock and hip hop, and there are great musicians out there and amazing music. But the problem is that if a musician is too damn lazy to write sometimes to his audience and do stuff, then he cannot help himself. And if he cannot help himself in today's industry and today's models of music economy, that's a problem. Because you cannot come to a major label today like before and say, hey, I'm the genius musician, make a star out of me. You need to work at it alone,
But
do it DIY.
But you mean lazy in a way of writing his music, or lazy working on
Promoting himself.
But Nimrod, sorry,
I must agree with Daniel, because I think also that the music comes first, and it's one of the things that people forget during the last 5 years, and they promote themselves much more than they try to make their music much more interesting and touching and interesting.
They're wasting their time on getting in touch than perfecting their music.
Yes, in Facebook and Twitter,
But there's
sites.
there's a real problem now that because of the internet and the availability of everything, that people, and I'm telling it from the listeners' perspective and not the musician's perspective, that listeners have a much shorter patience for anything. And it's also, I think it's statistically proven that hits, for example, shorter now. I don't know if it's the right thing to say, but they last for a shorter time now. And even as a musician, I always have to think, after I finish a song of mine, and I'm really proud of it, and I feel really good about it, then comes you start thinking, how will I put it out, and how will it last?
How it will be received, and
because of the same availability of Twitter and the internet in general, everyone can upload those songs, and there's much more to filter between. And the record labels that once were the filter, they are not relevant anyway. Because of that, what you read is just not relevant, because it's not relevant because it could be like David Bowie would say, I would not show on TV shows. It's the same thing, because it's one of many ways to promote yourself. And
let me just give you an example, again, from a point of view of a music fan. The usual info and updates, I can get it from companies like DICE or from the labels, but there's a band I'm a fan of called Faith No More, where the music really speaks for itself, and they used to have a Twitter page, they still have, but it's completely deserted, nothing happens there, because very quickly the fans realize that it's not the band members that write there. So, yes, but two members from the band, the keyboard player and the bassist, Billy Gold, they have their own private Twitter page, and it works there, it's interesting.
Mike Patton is on Facebook.
Sorry?
Mike Patton is on Facebook.
Yes, Mike Patton is on Facebook. But what I need...
If I'm not mistaken, I think Billy Gold wrote that they're coming to Israel first on his Twitter, and only later did they release a...
I'm not surprised, yes. Yeah. So what I need as a music fan is the extra value. I want to hear things that no one else can tell me, like, I don't know, a feedback he got after a concert, or a spontaneous concert he's about to give in a few hours. Stuff like this.
Except for hardcore fans. You know, if you want to know, even I like Faith No More, but I don't really care what his keyboard player thinks about anything. And I love them, I really do. I heard all their albums of teenagers. I'm more worried about the fact that I personally, you know, when I was, and I don't know if it's an age thing or it's the internet thing, but when I was 16 or 17 and I was really on the internet before it was, you know, in the 90s, yeah. And I had a list of songs that I heard somewhere and I was looking for them and I had a quest and a search to get them. And after months, and I would wait with a VHS tape to record them off MTV or anywhere. And when I finally got them, I had months to enjoy them because it wasn't so easy. And now somebody sends me an email with a really cool song you just heard and then I delete it. Because I get 100 like those. And
because it's 4 minutes 30 and it's a minute too long for your attention span.
No, it's not like that, but in a place that there's so many and there's so much, and even if there's something I really like it, I'm so excited, I like it so much, then 2 days later, there are 100 more there.
Really, it's not.
The main problem is too much information from everywhere, in the net, in the mass communication, and the electronic communication. And you must look at this thing like Twitter as one of many tools that you can use as a promoter or as a radio DJ like me.
I'd like to talk about the difference between Faith No More and let's say, I don't know, Mess, which are a hardcore metal band from Tel Aviv. It's much more easier to a band like Faith No More hold her webpage and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and anything. And in today's economy, music economy, where record labels do not sell hard copies so much, and the illusion of digital music is slowly fading away, for indie bands, and all they have to do is doing it themselves, concert after concert after concert. And if I'm an indie label and I'm supposed to support such a band, and in support I mean help them get bookings and promotion and wine or whatever, the band need to work very hard, and they need to exploit every tool you just mentioned. And this is why I think that article is focused on indie bands who are supposed to do it themselves and not to pay for more.
But the artist says it sucks our time and energy. We want to concentrate on music.
Yeah, but there is also the period which you write your music and you say, okay, I'm doing an album allegedly, and it's like 14 songs which I write in a certain period of time. And then I got like several months to promote each song separately and moving on. It's all a question about which model of promoting your music you're going to do. Unless you do the model which you write a new song each month, and then it is a problem.
But I want to say one thing for what you said, that they want to concentrate on the music and they won't just want to do music. No, it's important. I was in New York, in MoMA. There's this artist, Marina something, you know, she's very famous. There's a lot of naked people everywhere, and go there. Anyway, she's got a thing. She's for months sitting from 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening, and not moving all the time. She's a true, total artist. She's not doing anything besides sitting there, and it's an artistic statement. It's amazing, and it's good we have it. But in the music side of things, there's very, very little things that don't have any commercial side to them. And those things are, you know, people that say that they want to concentrate only on the music, it's a very nice thing to say, but it doesn't really exist, and it never existed. You know, Mozart went out and sold himself to the king, and the Beatles were ready to play many shows and got tomatoes on their faces, and everybody does it. It's part of why music is so people are so passionate about it, and why it will always be a commercial thing also. And that's from all kind of art forms, music is the one that people expect to be the most artistic, and it has to be the most commercial to get to people, unlike, you know,
Sorry, I just want to add something to that, because, you know, it's much easier to write on Twitter and Facebook some posts and stuff, than writing a good pop song. It's really much more easier, and I would like to do it like and get money. I don't know, to live by it because it's really easier. But I think in that way, I wanted to tell you that whenever I post something about maybe something somebody told me about my music, something connect really directly to my music. Whenever it's a post, not the music itself, but a post, like told and stuff like that. I get like some post back, let's say. But whenever I post something which is really personally, not like I don't know, I must stop smoking. I love Yoni Bloch, I don't know, something like that. Then I got like really a lot of posts. When it's very, very personal, something like maybe adds a value, adds a personal value about.
So it all became numbers, the number of retweets and the number of followers. It all became numbers.
No.
Number of likes, the number of followers.
I want to share with you because I'm not sure about it. But it sounds to me that it's a bit like sitting in a bar after a show. And like talking to the audience, to the people,
It's people like to pick your life. No.
Say again?
I said that people like to peek into other people's lives. And what?
We're all gossipers.
Whenever you write some, I think personal post and people get back to you, maybe sometimes it gives them maybe the feeling that they're celebs, or I don't know, but it's like sitting in a bar and having a conversation with your audience, I think. So I don't know, just a thought.
I'm taking a step back from social media. I don't know if the viewers from abroad realize this, but there is no legal way to purchase their songs unless one of you is on songs or iMusic.
I think
can people in Israel purchase
not yet.
songs? That's a problem. So it's easier to ask Daniel what he had for breakfast than actually purchasing his song, which is absurd, completely absurd.
But you don't have to purchase the song. You can just download it.
True. Still,
You really don't
funny, I
have
should
to buy
defend
it.
you, but you should make a living from this.
I'm not into defending. I'm actually I'm into downloading. I think it's good. Really, download my music. Hear it on YouTube. It's good. This is it. It happened.
It's over.
Yeah, it's over. Or it's over if you want to, like John Lennon said.
This connects to a question from the audience, from a certain Mr. Pulver. Do you guys object, or do you guys like when you see uploaded videos from your concerts on YouTube? Maybe something that you wouldn't have authorized otherwise?
I hate
With
watching
an
myself. I hate watching myself in the video. Really, I hate watching myself in mirrors, especially video. It's terrible to watch myself in video. Really, it's embarrassing. But so I don't mind. To have a kick for having the video up. Good. No, it's good. It's fun.
It doesn't matter what we think. It will happen anyway, and trying to fight it is stupid. If I heard about someone doing it, I would not like him. So
we actually had an argument last week about YouTube and videos from concerts. YouTube in Israel is currently in negotiations with major labels and etc. And we had a discussion.
Actually, they are not in negotiations. I really know it that NMC, the biggest record label, they told them that they want money for the play. I know it because they took down one of my music videos, which already had a lot of plays. And I called NMC and asked them, why did you do it? And they said, we're gonna show YouTube. We won't let them put our videos. Well, and then you know what YouTube told them? Okay.
I know this.
And I needed to explain the guy in the record company, the biggest record company in Israel, oh my God, that YouTube doesn't care. And I do, and my 200,000 views, they cared and they heard the music there. And I don't know if they bought the CD, like, it doesn't matter. Those are the crowds. So they put it back, and a month later they put everything back and folded the tail there.
On my side, we're pro leaving everything on YouTube. If someone took a video of the artist and placed it on his channel, God bless him. He's promoting the artist and all. And the majors actually said, let's remove everything. Right?
I suppose that people knows it, but the only place to see a music video in Israel is actually YouTube.
And
I don't know. No, I don't know.
Sometimes why not?
No, and maybe a bit of 24 channel, but became some weird reality channel.
You're right. If you want to see nostalgia, Channel 1 clips of Zvika Peak when he still had more hair on his head, you go to YouTube because you know that you're not going to see it on Channel 1.
No, but it's a big problem. I actually had to talk with my manager when I did the music video now with the superheroes.
As a superhero.
Yeah. And
By the way,
I'd love to give you the link, but it's something like youtube.com/QAUU. And anyway, I like my manager a lot, and I called her, and she always tells me the truth. And I tell her I have this great music video idea for the song, and we're gonna dress up like superheroes, and it would be so much fun. And then she said, "But why? Where will it be broadcasted? Because there's no music channel now, and there's no." And I told her YouTube, but it wasn't in her mind like some. It's so big, I told her. You know how many people come in YouTube every day? But
Only you could benefit from it.
just to mention that I think it was last month, it was found out that Twitter is the #1 website that refers to video clips. Google is #1 for searching video, but Twitter is #1
Referral.
Yes, for referral.
So that's a great tool to know when stuff went Yoni for.
I think that Yoni describing the process, but we are in it. We are in the middle of the way between the 20th centuries and the 21st century. And in 1 year or 2 years, things will be much different than we can see it now. The promoting of music and the way you can listen and to buy music.
How do you see it? Do you have any?
I think that it started in France already, and it will keep on in many other countries. You won't be able to download the music for free. There will be any model that people will think about it. You will pay a monthly payment or something to download everything you want, but there won't be any torrents and people share
You
music.
really believe they'll go away?
I think so. I think so, yes.
Anyone
it takes people so much time to adjust to anything new.
paying to
Anywhere, but in the music industry, it's much worse. The industry is so retarded in so many ways that things that were so obvious so much time before are just starting to happen now, and they should have happened much before.
So last panel you were in 6 months ago, things have changed. Where do you see Twitter being something that is, I don't know, me and Mel, we're having some eye contact there.
Everybody has to know.
Now they do. Do you have any idea? I mean, Boaz thinks torrents will go away. Do you think people will adjust in 6 months, in 5 years, to actually clicking and downloading and actually paying Yoni Bloch when they download a song?
They won't pay.
Yeah, they won't pay me. They will pay for the music service in general. But that's also weird, because there's so much music and.
But you pay a monthly payment for any music you want.
Yeah, but then who decides how much do I get from that payment?
Well, actually, it's a pie, and the more plays you get, the more money you're supposed to get.
And then
That's how
selling
music
myself
sells.
would be even more important than now, and tweeting and everything would be even more, promoting myself would be even more important.
And I will have a job constantly. This is amazing.
So you think the future looks bright. This is very optimistic. Penny, it looks like you want to say something
No,
different.
I don't think it will disappear downwards in sharing, but I mean, yes, it will rise. This model, I think.
20 years ago, there were illegal cables all over Israel.
True.
And what happened?
No,
Everyone pays for
It should-
gas and for hot. Everybody.
It should feel like free. Even if it's not free, it should feel like free.
Won't be free.
And there's Gerd Leonard is a media futurist, and he says music like water. Like, you pay for the water, but you think it's free. So you pay once a month, and then you use water. You don't think how much. Well, maybe today it's not relevant. Today we think about the cost, but it should feel free, even if you pay for it.
Okay, our time is up. I think we're pretty much optimistic. Thank you very much, Dr. Dweck.